Say wow, let's enjoy some fun conversation. We'll be shooting the shelf around the nation. Let's start shooting the shelf.
Good morning, Mythos.
It is morning.
Yes. Hedgehog calling me out in the comments earlier over on the Dorkler live stream because I didn't say good morning in the comments. Well, guess what? I was hardly functioning. And I'm still hardly functioning, so this is going to be really fun. I don't like being awake in the morning. But I am happy to be here. Curtis, how's the marathon been going?
Excellent. 11 hours down, 18 to go. We're doing well. We're rocking. We're rolling. So
11 down, 18 to wait.
It became a 29-hour live stream because Mr. Allen went live an hour before the marathon. So it went from 28 to 29 hours. So
okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
if you were wondering why the math wasn't mathing. So
well, I mean, I know my brain doesn't math, but odds and evens don't usually equal the 28.
There you go. But now you know, and knowing is half the battle. But we got some folks with us.
And according to Eurolegion, showing up is the other half of the battle.
There you go. Let's go ahead and bring some folks on here. First,
wait, let me get my.
He's been with me all night for all the shows. We got Joe Gonzalez here.
Hey,
what's up, Joe?
Not me. No.
Then next we got somebody that's been with me for almost all the shows, all but one of the shows. We got Brett here. What's up, Brett?
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
I was hanging out in the chat for that one, Curtis.
Yep.
Apparently, I wasn't Euro enough to be.
I think they just maxed out because they had people. They had a bunch of stories. It was story time. It was story time Euro style.
I almost fell asleep to Mal's book reading, but I managed to power through it, and I'm on my second win. So
we made it. Next. She'll be taking the baton from us next. We got Tanya here from the Legions Ladies Live. What's up, Tanya?
Everybody. What's up?
There you go.
I'm doing good.
There you go. Next, we got Brian here. Brian, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
And finally, this man has made every single one of the live streams so far. He just hasn't stayed for the whole time, but he's been here. And he's here now. We got Jeremy Gerard in the house.
I have met my contractual obligations.
You have definitely met your contractual obligation.
Every one of the shows. It may have been brief. Let's be fair, Curtis. You all but kicked me off of your allegiance.
You were looking rough. Jeremy came to the Euro Legions looking like Slim Shady. He had the hoodie up. He had just crossed 8 Mile. He was getting ready to rap battle with Mal. It was crazy. So
you merely adapted the dark. I was born in it.
Yeah. I mean, I woke up at 2:45 so I could get in before the 3:00 cutoff on your show, Curtis, and then I just rolled that right into Euro Legions. And you know what? Screw those guys. Because it wasn't 3 a.m. for them. They're all looking fresh-faced and European, and they're all like, cheers, mates. How are you? Good morning. Top of the morning to you. And they're all, because it wasn't 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, Mal wasn't, but that's because he was hungover.
Yes, it was 8 o'clock in the morning there.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I obviously I jest. I absolutely love those guys. I actually wish. I love talking to those guys, so I almost wish they would have been on at a later time slot so I could have spent more time. Curtis, I will say, though, like the stuff that I've seen so far, the times I've jumped on, you're in like top gear right now, man.
And this is
you're
Super
like
Bowl.
you're getting better as each one of these shows goes, and just kudos to all of you, man.
Yeah. I think Hedgie said on the last one that he thinks I do better with no sleep. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, this is fun stuff, man. I love this stuff. So
yeah, dude. Thank you guys so much for doing this.
And
And
Bill's here.
Brian, Brian, how you doing this morning, man?
Doing good. I got up just for this.
Awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Very cool. So we got a topic that we're going to go through. Jess is going to kind of walk us through. He's not a morning person, folks, so bear with him, but he's going to walk us through some character creation, like backstory stuff. But before we do that, let's go ahead and pull up the Kickstarter, see where we're at.
I think Mal can tell you how to do character backstory creation really well.
Yeah, let's not go there. We got 1,337,000, and the number of backers keeps going up. We are at 3,027 now. So yeah, continuing to climb.
And the average per backer is holding steady.
Yeah, about $441. So, which, yes, Darla, that's what I'm spending.
I think you need to move the comma one place to the right.
Yeah. So there we go. That's that. And we do have a super chat out there, Jesse.
Yes, we do. From our 25-month channel subscriber member, Kevin M. Boots. Good morning from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kevin, what are you doing in Tulsa? Have a safe trip, man.
I don't know, but I bet he's going to get some cool pictures outside.
I'm sure he will.
Yep. The crash usually the crash hits right around Latin Legions. Those guys will carry me. They'll play some fun games. They're going to do some wild things, and I won't be alive for most of it, but they're going to carry me to the finish line. So, but Jesse, tell us a little bit about creating backstories for an RPG character.
Oh, you expected me to have something prepared for this?
I just want you to talk.
No. So I'm sure Jeremy and a lot of folks here in the chat or on the screen are very versed at creating stories, and I mean, he does it. Part of his job is helping create the backstories and stuff for the bios and the book and everything with Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions and all the other things. But with role-playing games, it's a little bit different because you got to leave threads in there. Not that he doesn't with and Eric, they don't with those things, but you got to leave threads for your GM or your DM or whatever you want to call him to pull, to, you know, different things to be able to weave in and out of the adventure as it goes along, to set up different things, to give you different things that your character wants to go for, not just the group dynamic. So I'm not sure what exactly is going to be in our official Mythic Legions as far as things, but speaking from past stuff with D&D, mostly played 5e, they have a whole list of like personality traits and different things that help you create that if you don't have, you know, and they're great things there to help you build it if you don't know what you want to do with your character. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think just to kind of tag onto that, like obviously I've not been doing role-playing games very long. It's been a couple years playing with you guys on Legion's Quest and stuff. And initially I was worried about a lot of the X's and O's stuff, right? Like what do these spells do and stats and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And you know, you learn that stuff, you get used to it. You got good people around you that kind of help you learn and get through that. But I think the fun part really is, you know, kind of imagining what that story is for your character and where you can take it, and, you know, what your personality is and how you interact with others and all that kind of stuff. And that's just been a lot of fun. So I'm
going to take a second to segue, Curtis, off of that. And finding out about character and traits and all that. And the core rule book has a lot of that stuff for things that we already have.
I've not
and
heard
we're
of
going to
that.
come
Is
up.
that something new?
And I want to proselytize the good word of the core rule book. And what I'm doing tonight is every stream I'm on, I'm giving away a copy of the core rule book, because I think that is the one key element in this Kickstarter that every Mythic Legions fan should have, because it's got stories, it's got abilities, it's got art, it's got pictures, Curtis. Pictures.
That's the best. I appreciate that, Brett. That's
You're welcome,
for people
Curtis.
like me that don't like to read. Pictures are important.
And
So.
just going to jump in real quick here for anyone that has, on the stream, if you have questions about the game and the core rule book and stuff, Brian has been an absolutely invaluable asset to that. I'm usually the fount of knowledge when it comes to all things Legions. Yeah. This is a case where Brian has more knowledge, not only about role-playing games than I do, of course, but Brian's been working on helping edit that core rule book and certainly the beginner box. He wrote the adventure for the beginner box. A lot of times, because Brian's working with us, I don't know how much he's shared already because he's under kind of an embargo with us. But he's on the stream to share knowledge and information. So please utilize his presence here, because he can answer these questions specifically about the game and the core rule book and stuff. So Brian, for the most part, I'm taking the shackles off, and you can answer these questions and give them all some information.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's been fun because thank you. Nice to meet you all too. It's been fun too, because I will randomly send Jeremy a question. I'm like, hey, can we do this, or can I mention this, or it's always a little lore bit, and trying to stuff as many Easter eggs into the book as we can too, into all the books, but to make sure that everything feels very mythic, very mythos, and just that whole world building that we've all been talking about and that everyone's excited about, making sure that the rules have that feel that everyone wants with Mythic Legions.
Very cool. So
that's so exciting.
So can you tell us a little bit about your background in role-playing games and stuff?
Sure. Do you want the long or the short version? I'll give you the.
We are limited to 2 hours.
Okay. No, that's fair. So I've been a gamer my whole life. I started with 2nd edition D&D, played a lot of Star Wars, the role-playing game, all through high school and college, and was just a real big fan of that setting. I always liked to play with minis, and so and I was typically the DM or the GM of the game as well. I love to world build. That's my real passion, is the actual world building aspect of things. So it was always nice to have rules that we could just modify, to play, make our own settings. And I can remember one of the first D&D games. It was just me and my neighbor. We were about 10 years old, and we just converted Star Wars. We played Star Wars with our action figures, but with D&D rules, because that was like just something to do. And so when I became an adult, my after college, after getting settled in, I moved to Columbus, Ohio in 2000, and Origins Game Fair's there. And Origins is, at the time, was the second biggest show in the U.S. For role-playing games and tabletop games. And I started going as a fan, and within a year or two, I was a musician at the time. I released some soundtracks for a couple of different companies, music to play with while you're gaming your tabletop games. It was like people were just starting to use like the Lord of the Rings soundtracks and eventually the Harry Potter soundtracks when they're playing D&D. And so that was becoming a thing. And I had some friends who released the official D&D soundtrack. And so I said, how do I do that? And that's what I started. Through that, I got a contract gig with Mongoose Publishing. And Mongoose at the time was doing a whole bunch of 3.0, D&D 3.0 type stuff. I mean, a lot of it. and the OGL, the Open Gaming License, that is what we're now using for Mythic Legions. That was like prolific throughout the entire industry. Everybody was kind of writing their own D&D bits. So I was working with Mongoose. I started helping write and edit, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I went from Mongoose to Aberrant to Atchison, did my own thing for a while, Kaiju Chaos. Kaiju Chaos is a tabletop miniatures game that I wrote and published. That's actually, during that time is when I met George Gaspar, when he was with
nice.
October Toys, and started using some of George's toys in my game. And that kind of led to more freelance work over the years. I most recently worked on G.I. Joe, the role-playing game, for Renegade. So knowing is half the battle. And
Not showing up.
yeah, and not showing up is the other half. I worked on a couple of miniatures games recently, and then when Mythic Legions was announced, when the RPG was announced, I was talking to George about it at Designer Con, and then eventually at Comic Con, and then I got my day job is to work for Gamma, which is the trade association for the tabletop industry. So we help work with recruiting and memberships and networking, education, benefits, you name it, for different publishers and creators in the industry. So Four Horsemen joined Gamma, and then I met Cameron last year in 25 at our Gamma Expo, which is our trade show, annual trade show. Then eventually that led to being asked to work on the game. I was originally
had you any
asked,
knowledge of Four Horsemen or Mythic Legions or anything prior to that?
Yep. Because I knew George, I had been kind of following him, and so when Mythic Legions ran the first Kickstarter, I was a backer.
Okay.
For that. So I got the little book, and I got the trading cards, and I got some of the figures. So I was familiar with it, I guess, close to the start with that Kickstarter. I am a toy collector, but I'm not. There's no way I could compare my collections to anyone else in this community. I feel this is a very hungry community for their action figures, which is an amazing thing. I love it. I love to see everyone talking about not just one, but maybe 5 of every figure, it seems like. So that's amazing. So I have bought some over the years. My biggest purchase, though, for Mythic Legions at the time was PowerCon in Columbus, Ohio. Because again, I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, and so when PowerCon moved here, and Four Horsemen were there, I bought a bunch of those figures, the PowerCon figures, as well as some other cosmic and other figures that were coming on. And I'm a huge Krampus guy, so when the figure Obscura was first out, I've been buying all of those. But I was really excited for Krampus and Father Christmas and all the others that have come out in that line. So yeah, I was familiar with the line already, which was awesome to be able to take something that I already knew, but again, not as intimately known. I'm still learning lots. I've been enjoying reading everything that Jeremy's been publishing online and looking at early PDF drafts of the books and some of the other stuff, and getting to look over stuff to make sure, and like I said, Jeremy and I talk when I have questions on the lore to make sure that everything's working well. But yeah, it's been fun. It's an awesome sandbox to play in. But as I started to say, I was initially brought onto the team to do the follow-up to the Kickstarter. So yes, I know we've been saying it. There is material for following up the Kickstarter. That it's not just a one and done. But that's what I was initially brought on the team to help with. But then I got asked to come earlier into the team to help actually do the beginner box, in the Shadows of Mythos adventure, and then now more recently, I've been helping with some of the editing and copywriting and layout type stuff with Emil to help make sure that everything is homogenous. All the 3 books are homogenous.
Very cool. So when it comes to, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brett.
What has been your most favorite thing about adapting a existing IP into a tabletop adventure module?
Trying to see how far I can go, kind of put in a personal stamp with like I said, with the existing sandbox, and trying to just craft something so that it is known and familiar, and it embellishes what everyone in the community is already expecting and what they know, but kind of just giving it that little extra level. Or in some cases digging deeper, in some cases just, I mean, we early conversations were, what is the architecture like on this town? What, do the buildings in Mercurius have chimneys? We were having these kind of conversations. I wanted to know, that we have that really cool online calendar, the day of the week type calendar. I wanted to know more about time and about culture. And so there was a lot that they hadn't come up with yet. So we started talking and putting some of that stuff in place. So that's been a lot of fun, just kind of trying to figure out how to tie up and bring together a bunch of the ideas that already exist, and then where can I interject my own little pieces into it.
Awesome. And one follow-up to that, what's your favorite character figure that is being released in this wave, and why is it Rick's?
Yes, it is Rick's. Rick's is a very cool action figure. I think I know Jeremy said it on one of his shows that Rick's, the design, was all 4 horsemen, as far as him being a vampiric skeleton, but Rick's the character is a baddie in the adventure. So seeing something that I put together on paper and then to see it come together as an action figure is a dream come true. And that's really awesome. I really, really, really like that Shadow Elf Paladin, though. I love the color scheme. I just the blues and the purples. It's just an awesome looking figure. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well.
Very cool.
One of the things I'll throw in, and Jesse, I'm sorry, we're completely just taking over
I do that.
Your theme here, so I'll shut up in a minute. But
go.
Like, Brian's talking about world building. I've said this before, that there's elements of our world that Eric and I have never had to really address because it's never come up in our stories and our waves and things like that. I've mentioned before how time works in the realm of mythos. And one of the things Brian did early on was asked about like holidays. And he said, like, are there holidays in mythos? And we said, yeah, but we have no idea what they are. So Brian created like a very comprehensive listing of all the holidays in mythos. And it was great. Like it immediately added a level of richness to the world that I frankly, we didn't even know we were missing. And I liked it so much that it hit around the time that I was doing some writing for some of the exclusives for this year's Legions Con, and, completely being inspired by what Brian wrote. Like I used one of his holidays as a bit of a springboard for part of the story in one of this year's exclusive Legions Con releases. So it's been great to work with Brian because, as he said, he'll bounce ideas or like lore questions off me. Recently we were talking about Mercurios, and he had wanted to put a magic school in Mercurios, and I had to say no. I was like, that's not, we've already established that the teaching of magic is restricted to Ophidian, and it's restricted. That's where the Convocation of Basilia does their stuff. So it wouldn't be appropriate to have a magic school in Mercurios. So we adjust things like that. So it's been great to work with him and allow him to expand the world. But at the same time, I know it's exciting for him because it is not 100% open. There are some guardrails that we can advise him on and shape things. So what is coming out for all of those who love Mythic Legions and are hungry for the lore, this doesn't feel like that it's running parallel to the lore. It's perfectly integrated because we've taken such pains to make sure that everything that's written kind of fleshes out with everything we've already done and everything we have planned that we're doing.
And that extra layer of immersion into the world is really exciting to me.
Yeah. Sorry, that zip. I'm going to shut it down.
I have a question for Jeremy.
Yes.
I feel like you've answered this before, but I can't remember, or if my brain's just making it up. I just got my Bodvar, and on the package, there's a couple celestial bodies in the sky. Is that confirmed legit, or was this just Nate having fun?
That's just Nate having fun. And actually, that's Tom Tolman. Tom Tolman painted that piece.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, no, it's fine. Tom paints. I mean, I shouldn't say Tom paints like Nate does. Tom can paint like Nate does. Tom has his own style, but to keep things consistent when he does work for us, he paints very much like Nate. And then Nate takes all of his work and kind of goes over it and adds his layer to it as well. So there is consistency through those. But that was not us saying, oh, there are these two celestial bodies in Mythos, but we've never said there's not two. So again, Nate has been, up until now, Nate has been hugely responsible for world building as well because he paints this stuff. And there are times where, he'll bounce it off Eric and myself and he's just like, can I do this? Like, is there any reason not to? And if there's not a reason not to, we're like, no, go ahead, make it happen. So I guess that answers your question in that there's two celestial bodies that are visible from Mythos.
I absolutely love that, because anything that just pushes a fantasy world just a little bit outside of our world just makes it so much more, I don't know, not fantastical, but fantastical and amazing. I don't know. It's a simple thing. There's two moons instead of one. We don't need two suns like Star Wars. But it just, yeah.
In some ways, it makes it feel more real.
Now I want a source book saying what's on those moons.
And it's interesting too, because the way that we work so often, I was just telling the story about Brian writing about the holidays and then me pulling on that thread to use it for something else. We do that all the time with this stuff, where something gets introduced in a very innocuous way, where it's like, oh, this is just because it's cool on the box. And then Eric and I look at it and we're like, hey, that makes us think about this. And we pull that string and stuff. Like, seeing those two celestial bodies, it immediately makes me say why they're two celestial bodies. Well, they were two creator gods and they're missing and we don't know where they are. Do those celestial bodies have something to do with Helios and Selene and where they ended up or whatever? These are the way that we start thinking about stuff, where something happens and it's just, we build on it and build on it and build on it to create all of the different narrative that we have, and it fleshes out parts of the story that maybe we've never gotten to before.
Very cool. I want to pop over to Joe real quick. I know Joe's done a lot of GMing. So
don't make me look bad, Curtis.
I'm trying not to. So folks that may have never done any of this before, they've never done any role-playing game, they're maybe a little intimidated, they're going to create their character for the first time, they don't know how to do any of this. What advice would you give somebody creating their character, creating a backstory, and bringing that character to life?
The 5e rules, that the open game license, the 2014 rules that this is based off of, is probably the most simple to learn Dungeons and Dragons rule set that has been out so far. It's pretty easy to pick up on. You could probably watch a YouTube video or two and have a basic idea of how to pick up the rules. There's like, if you have the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook, there's a section in the beginning about creating a character that's very simple and goes through how to roll dice or assign your stats by a point buy system. I would just recommend reading through that a little bit. Read through the character classes, pick something. Most people start with martial classes because being a fighter is simpler than being a wizard, because you don't have to learn spells. They do get special abilities and things like that you can perform in combat, but it's not as involved as learning an entire spell list and what every spell that, and number of spells per day and all that kind of stuff. So, most people start with a martial character like a fighter or a barbarian, and just get in there and have fun with it. Backstories are cool. I feel like that's a little bit more of an advanced thing, and to get into backstories, and like what Jesse was talking about, you want a backstory that's going to give your game master like hooks, things that he can use to add a little bit of life to your character's adventures, family members that can come back, or a villain that wronged you in the past or something that can, reappear in the future. All those things kind of flesh out the adventure for your character, but it's not something that's super necessary when you're first getting started. If you're not comfortable with it, just get in there and play. Make a funny voice for your character, and take some chances. Don't play too safe. Some of the funnest things is that you're not bound by the restrictions of real life. So, jump over a table, dive off of the bar to tackle an enemy, some things like that, and just have fun with it. And then once you get into it and you get comfortable, then you can kind of expand your repertoire and start coming out with more complex characters and more. The number one rule of role playing is have fun. Start having fun. Then if you want to get into the more technical aspects, and once you get a feel for it, you want to learn how all the spell lists work, and you want to be a wizard that has a bunch of utility and can nuke enemies and all that stuff. It's like a progression. It's like learning anything, like playing a sport or learning a card game. Start slow and just through experience, and you'll gain knowledge, and everything will get easier for you. So,
Jesse,
and it's not competitive either. So your fellow adventurers and your GM are going to help you along the way.
Well,
it's no fun if Joe kills everybody in the first 5 minutes.
Your GM
it's fun for Joe, but yes, I get what you're saying.
So. Jesse, you look like you had something to add.
It's a question pulling from D&D to the Mythic role-playing game, like the book specifically. I don't know if this can be answered or not.
Jeremy took the shackles off. Brian can say whatever he wants at this point. It's the last day of the campaign. Everything's fair game.
There's a thing in the character build, like when you're getting your gear and all this stuff, where you get to pick like an item, and usually there's like a like a D100 or 100 thing where you like roll a die and you pick something, or it's something specific. It's like for one of my games, I had a silver cage with no door and no explanation, and I worked that into my character's backstory. It had the essence of like his lost love in it, but he didn't know it. But every time he picked it up and cleaned it, it would sound like water, because she was a water nymph or whatever. So like it was something I added in there, and eventually we worked that into the overall story. Is there something like that in the Legion's book where you get a random artifact or something built into it, or is that just not part of this one?
Tunamator there said the trinket table, and yes, there's that option. It's not required though. We one of the cool things I like what Cameron did for the core rule book was he reorganized it a little bit, made it a little more some of the thing. a lot of the rules sometimes would be like, all right, it's here, and then another part of it is at the end of the book, and you have to use that index all the time to try to find some of those things until you're familiar with the book layout. Cameron moved a lot of things to what made more sense to him, and when I didn't understand it, I would ask, and then his explanation, and then we would we're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then Emil, when with layout, was like, one thing I would like to see is the layout reflect even more simplicity in finding some of these really core things for building your characters. So when you're flipping through and you're like, do I want to play a barbarian? Do I want to play? You're like, oh, look, it's right there, kind of bullet pointed. These are the real basic traits that for what that species is or what that profession is. So we're taking the approach, and I did this with the adventure as well. I took the approach that these are action figure collectors that are going to start playing a role-playing game. But I didn't want it. So I wanted to make sure that it was simple to jump into, but I didn't want to oversimplify it. That would bore role players who were now going to start playing with action figures. So it was a balance. But again, with the layout, especially, we're just trying to find ways that we can reorganize, highlight things. And so, yeah, there's a lot of ideas that we used from 5e that'll be familiar. So if you're familiar with 5e and you liked something or you didn't like something, a lot of it's there, but it wasn't just a simple cut and paste. We tried to really tailor it to mythos. And then, in some cases we tossed complete parts, but replaced it with something completely different. So, one of the things I really do like is the factions, not having a true alignment system, but having the faction system where, your character based on what faction that they are, what action figure they are. You already have an idea whether they're good or bad, or heroic or villainous, or just some neutral person. That based on that cultural background, if you will, that faction background. So that's cool. And of course, like anything, like the real world, you can deviate from the norm within your own faction too, if you want to, but that's going to cause you some hardships down the road.
One of the things I think is cool about that faction system is that it does cause you to have to be creative about how your group is working together. Like if you're not all from the same faction, what is that common theme, that common goal that is bringing your group together? So when we were doing our play testing, I think Joe did a really good job of, we had folks from all different factions. Some of them would be considered kind of evil factions. Some would be good factions, and all over. And he basically came to us and said, I need you guys to come up with a story about how you ended up in prison. Could be, you did something wrong. Could be that you were framed for something. Could be that, it was a mistaken identity, whatever. But for some reason, you ended up in prison. You all meet there. And when we were in prison, this guard kind of tells us about this buried treasure. And after we get out, we all kind of go on this adventure together, try to get that treasure. So it puts us, people from totally different areas, totally different backgrounds, puts us in this common, unique scenario that we were together. We ended up in the same spot, and now we're working towards a common goal. And because you're starting out in these different factions, because I don't imagine there's going to be too many groups that play this, that they're all playing the same faction. It's going to create this scenario where you're going to have to find something like that. And I think it's going to make you work together to figure out what that is.
It's like I'm a Sons of the Red Star paladin, and I'm playing with two people from Basilia in our playtest right now. And then, of course, Anthony, he's just a dwarf, and I pick him up and throw him.
Just a dwarf.
Never say just
Not
a
the
dwarf.
beard.
Yeah.
Dwarves be dwarfing.
What a horrible candle snuffing word.
So anybody else, Oz, Bill, Tanya, either, past experience with role playing or ideas as you're going into this Mythic role playing game, like things that you would think of as you're kind of creating your character and working together with a group. Any thoughts that you guys have or that you'd want to share?
I'd just like to reiterate the immersion level is just completely up to you, right? Like you can create a character and have it be your stats and develop it as you go, or you can get super deep into the background. And so it can be almost like a skeleton, not a skeleton character, but like, you know, like a framework all the way up through a fully fleshed out, like, character, and any of those levels of it are valid for just jumping in and playing.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think
me to Mal. I have no backstory, no voices. My character is my character. Mal, he's got an hour and a half long backstory.
Well, I don't think you're locked into one thing either. Like your character can change, can develop. You could have other things that come out. Like and this is a little behind the scenes for Legion's Quest, so sorry if I'm pulling the curtain back too much. But like we were playing not too long ago, and we were playing live, and somebody in the comments said something about Nate's character and said it's the most chill Minotaur they've ever seen, right? So then, you know, later on, I'm talking to Nate, and he's like, that really got me thinking that I don't want to always be that way. I want to have like this fire inside of me, and just kind of when it's going to come out. And we kind of talked about that, like, you know, there's a character in the game, a vampire that killed his parents, and we're potentially getting ready to encounter that thing. And so you may see a different side of him come out that we haven't seen before, you know, and maybe he's kind of held it back, or he's locked it in, or whatever. But just because you start off chill and easygoing doesn't mean you always have to be that way. So, like, you know, your character can change and develop and show different emotions as things go on as well. So,
and some of that can come from like your comfort, like, because I mean, we do it on camera, we do it for sometimes a live audience or recorded. A lot of people are just going to be playing at home, you know, either around a table or, you know, maybe virtually like this. So, I mean, there's different levels of comfort. So it's whatever you're comfortable with in bringing those things out. And, you know, I think the only time a DM should jump in with something like that, or GM should jump in with something like that, is if it's something that's like really off. Oh, Curtis has a question.
I just wanted to say Trevor's here. So that's it.
Oh, hi, Trevor.
Morning, Trevor.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
What happened to your Jubilee glasses?
Jesse, sorry.
So being brand new to this, like, I know nothing. I'm absolutely coming into this with no knowledge whatsoever. But like, I love obviously creating characters and creating, you know, being that creative.
And you read a lot.
Person.
You know a lot about characters.
I do. I love to read, so I know a lot about characters. But, you know, trying to flesh out, like, what do I, as, you know, somebody new into this group, you know, kind of what do I want to do? And, you know, fleshing out my character. And I'm getting ready to.
Oh, your mic went out.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think her earbuds died.
Folk. Yeah.
We'll get back to her.
Here?
Yep, we got you now.
All right. I may have an echo. If I do, I'm going to log out in just a few minutes anyway. But I did want to.
I don't like it right now.
Okay. I did want to say that with my character, like, I'm sitting here listening to Joe, and he's like, you know, may not want to be a wizard to start with because there's all that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be a wizard.
That's why I said may not want to. But if you are comfortable with that, you know.
But you know, if you're a wizard and you got a good party and they're good about protecting you, it'll come a time where you will rise.
Wait, you were supposed to protect the wizard?
Prepare to die.
Yeah, I'm
I
a
thought Braddock was
believer in building a
protecting.
party for a specific purpose. And, you know, protect your wizard because they will save your ass when you need it the most.
You may just want to create your character with a pillow because you're going to be laying on the ground a lot. Yeah.
But that was, you know, that's, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm learning so much. I'm coming again into this completely, you know, blind by it because I've never
I've never done any of this before. So I'm like, do I need to rethink my character now? But I don't think I will. I mean, everything that I've come up with, Kevin and I have talked through, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be a wizard. I mean, that's what I want to do. So
It gets better. It gets
yeah.
It takes a little while, but
here's a little. I've not played a wizard, but I've seen enough of Trevor to tell you one piece of advice: don't go charging into enemies. Stay back. Stay back a little bit. Just keep your distance. All right.
Could be advice for a fighter too. Occasionally,
keep your
depending
distance
on the amount of enemies there are.
Advice for a fighter: don't charge too far beyond the rest of your party's range of movement to where they can't
Before we've
get
made
to
a
you
plan.
in turn to help flank or something. Yeah.
At this point, I feel like I'm a pretty much a veteran. All right, I'm damn near an expert. All right, and
that's an opinion.
What I would say, Tanya, is if you smell good food and it's presented to you by an attractive woman, just be careful. All right, she might put a cleaver in your back. I'm just. It's a for me.
I just want to make a side note here.
Possibility.
Curtis is talking about life experience, not the role playing game. At this point.
Right. This has nothing to do with our game.
So I do want to say like it's a game. So when something bad does happen, when you make a mistake, it's not a failure. It's just an opportunity to learn and get better at the game. So I don't think anything that happens in the game should be taken too seriously. You shouldn't feel bad about making the wrong decisions or things like that. You learn
fun.
and then you know next time not to do that thing. Like the food thing Curtis is talking about. That was a very important lesson.
But like people talk about like people cheating at a table or something. I guess you can get to the point where you're like I can't let my character die or whatever if you're 20th level or whatever. But I think that's the best part of role playing is the rolling the dice. So just having some bad rolls, which we've had a lot of.
Comically bad rolls.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's that's not fun. I mean, many in a row. Is not fun. But a good
player that might not be fun. But as
a good 2 on something where you really need to do something, and you're like, oh god damn it.
What if I build a character whose backstory is every time I roll low, it really is a roll high?
That doesn't even make any sense. You're not even making
opposite day.
Yeah.
The golf of D&D. The lower you roll, the better you do.
Exactly. Nat one again. I win.
The way you got to play that. The way you got to play that is like the clumsy klutz. Like you roll so horribly bad, but whatever happens, like
Jar Jar
ends up working. Yeah, like Jar Jar, like it just works out. That might be kind of fun to play it.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
That's all up to your GM.
My own experiences and like a big learning curve for me from the first time I played any type of RPG, and I don't know if you guys brought this up already, is if you're just getting into this and you're new, remember it's not you versus your DM or you versus
I disagree.
The game.
You would.
We know, Curtis.
Take key notes.
My DM specifically told me it was the rest of us versus him.
But
that is true. I did say that.
It's the fun of it is telling the story. And sometimes there's things you could do that take it in a completely different way than you've really wanted it to. Like having a character that's been doing good, but then like something's been brewing in the background as the game unfolds. Then eventually, like, you kind of become a bad guy within your own party. And just weird, fun stuff like that where it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, you're telling a story, and that's really what's fun about it. It's not, oh, can I beat this game? That's not. It's not that kind of a competitive game.
Curtis is giving us the prime example of why our party on the main Legion's quest is going to have a serious conversation and probably put our rabid dog down before the end of the campaign.
Intervention.
It's just taking everybody's hand.
It's
I mean, they're
okay to
dead.
let people's hands go, folks. It really is.
I don't know, man. I took one hand, I cut it off, and my partner in my group put it around my neck, and I think that's what you're supposed to do. That's I learned. So
I will say my aunt absolutely.
And now that guy's
loves-
hand, whose hand you took, is vexing us and creating all sorts of chaos. So
stuff happened.
Yeah,
My
he's
aunt
our
has-
Vexna.
Yeah.
he is.
My aunt has fallen in love with Graddock's character because of that.
Oh, don't tell him that.
No, but here's the thing: it's
Please, Oz.
can he get any stupider? Is
Well,
like, oh, he sets a
And
low
the
bar
answer
so
is not
far.
much.
So here's the thing. And
Bottomed out.
if you watched our play testing and
I
you've
just
watched the
Mountain
regular
Dew out of my
Legion
nose.
quest, you will find that I play both of those characters like they're complete morons. And that is a choice. That is a choice that I've made. Like, do you want your
Is it?
character to be old or young,
Kurnak-
fast or slow, smart or dumb? And I have chosen comically dumb.
don't
And that is
think
just
Kur-
that's a
Kurnak doesn't cross-
choice. That's a choice that
I
I've
don't think-
made.
Kurnak doesn't come across as dumb. He's got this like naive sincerity to him, like a golden retriever.
Do we need to talk about the barricades?
I mean, I was.
He's got a
thinking more
weird
along the line-
obsession with barricades and woodworking, but I don't think that's dumb. Like,
making a better barricade, or how their stealth skill between both characters is very similar.
I just think if
what
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
going into it and you're having trouble, just start thinking of things like that. Like this, is this character going to be old or young? Are they going to be serious or comical? Are they going to be, just start thinking of things and just, pick a few things out and then see how that feels. And if it feels right, great. If it doesn't, change it and kind of go from there. So
So the,
Like
the
in-
other question that I have before I have to jump off, and guys, I'm jumping off in about 7 minutes. I got to get ready for the next stream. But one more question I have for you guys, like whenever I'm thinking of my character, and you guys have all of the, numbers that you've got up at the top as far as what works for what, where do those come from? Like, how do you create your character in that?
There's a couple different
something
ways.
Is that something that's in the book, like as a
Yes.
wizard? Is that going to be
Yep.
something that's going to be in the rule
Ask-
book? It's
ask
going to
Brian.
tell you what, kind of what it is, or is that something that you create yourself?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And look, I got my Dungeon Master.
Nice.
You can see it on the screen, right? When I'm enlarged. That all of that is explained in the rule book. And as Trevor said, there's actually a couple ways that you can do it. But it will explain to you what is, and this goes back to some of the stuff that Emma and I are trying to do with the layout too, telling you what, for a wizard, what are your top traits that you're going to want, your top abilities, where you're going to get your proficiencies at, and then it's going to tell you when you're rolling dice. It'll tell you roll 3d6. That's 3 6-sided dice, and you roll them, you add them up. If you're going to want to put that like in your wisdom column, or if you're going to want to put that in your dexterity column, or whichever column you want to, you're going to do that. And then with that, you will get modifiers based on a table that's also in the book. So it's all there in the character creation. It's nothing that you have to make up. There is actually just a standardized system. If you want to just go with like the generic, like this is the averages, the law of averages type route, you can use that, and it certainly works. And then, because a wizard is going to get certain proficiencies, modifiers to those, the law of averages is going to change from your wizard to like a fighter who would use the same generic numbers in the same columns because their proficiencies are going to be different as from a wizard. So that's where that gives you just straight away. That gives you variety between two types of character professions. Is just because of their different proficiencies depending on what character profession you're using. So.
I guess most people like the pool system, right, Joe? Now and Brian, like you get a certain number of points, and then you get to just like distribute them, as opposed to it used to be when I started, you'd roll for each characteristic, and you could get some insane rolls, or you can get some really crappy rolls and just be
what I
really
found
bad stats.
Was nice around the point buy system is that all the characters are balanced relatively the same.
Yeah.
It's not one person had rolled really bad for their character and another person rolled really good. So that one character is the standout over the rest. With the point buy system, you have a more uniform, you can stack a stat if you want, but then you're going to have to make sacrifices to do that. So it just kind of balances everything overall.
So in other words, Tanya, you get a pool of points to distribute across those stats. And like if you really want to have some high strength, you could put some more there. I think there's a limit though. And then, maybe your charisma, maybe you're just not charismatic. So if you go and try to talk your way into a door with a guard in front of it, your stats are going to be low if you're the one trying to talk. And you might not convince him to let you through. So that's how that works.
Gotcha.
I just want to say hi to Brian. I haven't met Brian yet. Nice to meet you.
I've got
Brian's over there thinking, what did I get into?
I got to agree with Joe. You wouldn't want one of your characters to really outshine all the others.
Oh, you're the barbarian, Curtis. Thank you for doing your job.
What
For the record,
I wasn't even bringing
this
up my
count.
what?
This count doesn't include like the assists. Like there's a couple times
thank you.
Other things down pretty low. The other party members, and Curtis has gotten the final blow, and that's all. That's
so you're saying
I set him up,
killing them?
Oh,
he knocks them down.
Were we playing horseshoes, or were we killing people? I don't know what we were doing.
Do you watch hockey, Curtis? It's an assist.
You heard what I said. I didn't mix my words. I said we got their points low, and then you got the killing blow. So it
how about
kill count. It
how about we
finishing
just
blow
keep
count.
track of how many points of damage? Curtis, you can do that. We'll assign you that. How many points
Curtis
of damage
can't do that.
High
person?
It'll keep him from cutting off everybody's hands if he's constantly.
If he
trying to
keeps
do math.
cutting off
So
hands, he'll have enough fingers to count all the damage.
That's
what I mean.
a very
He's the mayor
good
of
point.
Mythos, not the mayor of Mathos.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
I would like to also show though our play testing. I was getting my butt kicked. So just FYI.
Yeah, you were.
Wait, bring that one back up. I didn't see. Did I have any kills on there?
Yeah, you were number one.
I'm tied with
There you
Brandon.
go.
Nice.
Yeah. Although you
No,
did
we're
die at Legion's Con. So, or sorry.
I mean, I've
you
been
got
dead the whole
knocked out.
time.
Yeah.
So Brian, what's your feeling about so you could play a skeleton? We're in our test game. Jesse's a skeleton. I'm a vampire, and we're kind of playing it like you want to cover. People are not going to be happy to see a skeleton walking into a tavern or whatever, or a vampire for that matter.
That's why he's got a human mask.
Right, and I wear a helmet all the
realistic.
time.
Yeah.
If yeah.
Yes,
This is
why
my
are you
dude
wearing
right
a
here,
stupid human suit?
right there. It's been interesting playing that. I've kind of found it fun to we're not playing them and the faction system wasn't in place when we started playing this, so it's a whole different thing. But how did you? What do you think about that? Like, how do you feel about those type of characters being played as good guys, or do you like dark campaigns or not? I know most people don't. GMs at least don't like dark campaigns, but some people do.
I actually do. I really like the dark side of it, and I was very excited. Vampires as player characters, that's awesome. Skeletons,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those are some cool things right off the start. Yeah, I would have to say that Although we're really leaning into Mercurius being the city island, that everybody, for whatever reason, is kind of present there. Like all the factions have people there. I mean, you're not going to see huge parties of certain types of people, but there's reasons for them to be on Mercurius.
It's a wooden mask.
Trade,
a wooden mask.
but whether it's trade or it's holidays, for whatever reason, there's going to be people there on Mercurius, and so it may not be the most odd thing to see a skeleton walk into a bar. However, I still feel like, covering up, like seeing a naked skeleton walk around, maybe, or with just a sword, would be really, really weird. I think for anybody anywhere, unless you're. But a skeleton that's pretty much covered up. Same with a vampire. A cowl or something over their face, whatever. Until they know their surroundings, because I think that's the bigger key would be for the player character, playing that type of a character, walking into a bar and not knowing who else is going to be in that bar. For their own safety, you would think they probably would want to play covered up, unless their character is just so bold and so brash and is always looking to be that antagonist and wants to pick a fight no matter where they're going. And then that's another way to play. So
question for Brian. Let's say that your group has no healer because healers are lame, and you have a skeleton in your group, and they can't drink health potions because they have no way to consume anything they have no intestines and stomach and stuff. How would you heal a skeleton that keeps getting knocked out?
I think the answer was salve, wasn't it, from the other show?
Yes.
Yes. So there you go. You're going to
rub it into those
make
bones.
a salve out of your potion and rub it on their affliction.
It's like
it's probably a better way
really
to
work it in there, though. Make sure.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sure. All right. I've got to rub your bones later.
Ripe for Valhalla has great suggestion.
That's right. Bone marrow transplant.
Just full bone marrow transplant. Got to spend some time, find a donor. They got to be a match.
Well, it's good. Like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, this is kind of related to your character because I know there's been changes since we play tested and stuff. But
that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Vampires. Drinking blood. Is it something that's essential? Like, does it affect their life? Does it how often do they need to do it? Does it need to be fresh? Does it need to be human? Do we know these things?
Jeremy said I can say anything, so I will say that yes, vampires must consume blood. That live is preferred, or from a live victim, if you will. But for a vampire, this form of ingesting what they need to live is no different than us eating a burger or a pizza or something. So they find our eating habits disgusting, and we can find their eating habits disgusting. But yes, they absolutely need that. If they do not get their fill, they will start to tire and lose and become weak and do all of the things that non-vampiric characters would happen if they're not getting their food.
That's something that came out of our gameplay.
Well, and so Jonathan Donath is a vampire wizard in our playtest, and he had to go so far as to chase some raccoons into a hole and drag them out by the tail to drink their blood.
Yeah, that's what I was doing too. Like, and that's what I talked to Cameron about. I'm like, can I just like drink the blood of the people that we fought and killed? Do I have to? Did they have to be live? And I think he came up with like I think he gave it 24 hours or something like that.
There's now a time limit on it, because originally it was they had to be still beating heart, drain them to a little bit. But then
but I love that aspect of it, because it's not just like we can just walk into a tavern and okay, you guys all have dinner and you're good, and it's like, no, I'm going to go out in the back alley and see if I can find a
and we've had to do that. We've had to help him find something to feed on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does it have to be a sentient being, like one of the other species of Mythos, or can it be an animal,
a raccoon,
or something like that?
We were allowed to use a raccoon.
Yeah.
Well, your game. I don't know if that's the final.
Well, Patrick,
I don't know what beef you have with Dirk, Brett, but like,
it wasn't me that ate it. It was Jonathan.
You helped it.
I didn't help him nothing. I'm not going to go chasing a raccoon down a hole.
I got to imagine it's better if it's like a human being, or at least
During that time, I was chasing a cat up a tree.
So
a Jaguarian cat.
Question then, Brian. Like,
I was going to say, there's got to be more to that.
If I eat a cheeseburger, right? I'm going to get some calorie intakes, can give me some energy and stuff, but I'm not getting any like special powers from a cheeseburger. Is when a vampire feeds off of somebody, maybe even somebody magical or whatever, is there anything that happens there? Is there any kind of boost or anything that helps them
power
besides just nourishment?
It's their nourishment. It's their nourishment, and just to be clear too, in Mythos, a vampiric bite does not make the victim a vampire.
Correct.
Right.
So,
it's not a infliction. It's a born with species.
Correct. Yep. So they're not creating more vampires by doing that. It was a discussion, not that, but the feeding aspect was the discussion that Emma and I had while we were working on the layout for that section. We talk about faction systems and how it's very geographic, right? Like here's where Laodicea is, here's where the Deadlands, and that's where they tend to hang out, is in those geographic areas. And so we're like, and then we say that the peasants in those areas are all they're part of that faction. So we're like, so the peasants that are kind of hanging out there, near the vampires, are those like people that they're just like literally using to drain, because we're assuming they're just normal. Yeah, they're just their farm animals, and that we're like, this could get really dark. And that's very ambiguous in the rules. So we haven't fleshed that out yet. So it could
dragging a blood bag behind them as they go into battle.
So they don't need to feed off of somebody until they're dead.
No, they can suck a few hit points here and there, and they don't have to kill the person.
Let's say that a vampire, let's say there's nothing else around. Like, could a vampire feed on another member of the party?
Yes, we've done that as well. We've cut ourselves and let Jonathan.
You have to really like your person, I think.
Yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work in our party.
Yeah, we're keeping Cremona around for that.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was pushing for some. I was pushing for some healing power to that, but I guess it is just basically eating. It doesn't really heal you and give you points back, but that's good enough. It's a fun part of the play, or does it? I don't think that's how it worked out, right? Like, you don't get anything. Like, in the middle of a battle, if I take my action to go and drink some blood from this guy, I'm not getting any kind of points back. Hit points, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question, and it may be something you can or can't answer, but in the
Jeremy said he can say anything.
Yeah, and I think this isn't like spoiling plot or anything, but as you were exploring the vampire and writing it and stuff, did you connect? So, like, some of the actual, like, bio lore is that they came from a union of Alithia and elves. Did the elven origin of the vampires come into play at all in in the book? Do you know, or can you even say? I don't know. I'm just interested to see that get fleshed out a little bit.
Right. I will say that Cameron did the initial writing on all of that, and I'm trying to recall now. I honestly don't. I think there was a brief. We did use the bios a lot. We used the cards, everything that we could use that's on the website or on the sides of the boxes. We used everything we could and establish it. But I do know that everything has room to be further fleshed out. So off the top of my head, I can't honestly say I recall if the Elvish background was in there or not. Because at that point, as Cameron wrote the book, what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of doing a proofread and helping Emil with layout. So that way because we had a text document and making it so it makes, so he can go in and just kind of lay it all out. There you go. But Jeremy popped that in there. So
nice.
Very nice. I did kind of have a question while we're talking about this with the vampires and mentioning that there are penalties if they go too long without nourishment, just like the rest of the party would without eating. Would they get like hangry, like more feral the hungrier they get, like more bestial?
Levels of exhaustion, right?
Right, kind of like that level of exhaustion, but instead of necessarily tired, like all they want to do is eat, like it's all they can.
They become all encompassed about feeding.
Wait, is Curtis playing a vampire?
I was just, it's getting more appealing the more I'm hearing about it.
I will say we didn't go into that. That's an interesting aspect, but we mostly focused on just getting weaker, not getting hangry. Although that's a cool idea.
I don't know. It just kind of like popped in my head as I was sitting here. Like, that becomes
like they have a little more focus on nourishment than they do about anything else, really.
Right.
And you may, in the middle of the battle, have to take an action to sustenance, some sustenance or something.
Wait a minute. If I'm hungry and I can't get a burger, I want superpowers. Then
I could see like if you're in that state, there being like a boost and like a plus and a minus. Like you're gonna do more damage because you're angrier, but like you're gonna have
almost
a
like a rage
because you're
type
not.
Of thing.
Well, almost what I was thinking, like building like a vampire barbarian.
No, but I don't think that should be specific to vampires. I mean, ask the Donner Party how that happened. Right?
Wow.
I mean once we get the Graveyard Zombie Mythic Legions game, then.
Yeah, the problem is like there's not going to be a whole lot of blood banks or anything just to pop into and grab a bag. You know what I mean?
Towns
you could just go to a tavern and carry your loaf of bread or whatever.
Blood frenzied vampire is losing focus on who's friend and foe while they're
where
in this hangry rage.
To the party. You know, that's exactly kind of where I was thinking about this. Like maybe a vampire barbarian kind of thing, and
interesting.
Yeah. Or diminish somehow.
There's time to maybe make some tweaks, or if not, there's certainly time to add that to an expansion book. Yep.
Yeah. I love the idea that we're going to get some new lore, and I know people are going to be asking questions and stuff, but I love the idea that there's going to be new adventure books that are going to open up a whole lot of other things down the line too, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the Mythic Legions line, there's seems like within the vampires there's a lot of experimentation, right? You got your Vargs, you got Decebalus, who's kind of like vampire mixed with an ogre, you got Milena, who's like vampire mixed with orc. Are those kind of crossbreed things something that maybe not available right away, but something that think that could be in like a future release?
So there is the half species type that you can play, and it's kind of explained. Half skeleton as possible there too. We're not including all of the like stat blocks for like generic builds right off the bat for all of these things. That definitely for future releases. Like the Varg is in the core rule book. Got to figure, we want to make sure it's playable right away. But there will be definitely for expansions. One of the books, a year, 2, 3 down the road, we're looking at doing a full creature compendium.
Oh wow!
With
I just put a
cards.
smile on Joe's face. You might not have been able to see it because of his mustache.
That came up
He is
earlier.
smiling.
I mean, the creature cards, obviously, that are coming in the beginner box or coming with the Kickstarter. That we want to be able to start making more of those and then compiling them and doing things. So that's been a ongoing discussion. Is exactly, and again, it's in discussion. Don't know when. But it's definitely one of those things that, you're looking at the D&D core 3 books, and, the Monster Manual is always one of those core 3 books. So we would like to also do a core 3 book type idea, although the core rulebook has a significant GM section in it already. So unlike the player handbook for D&D. So
Rick here says, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I like that it's incorporated. There's enough of the GM stuff in the core rule book that it's not. It doesn't have to be a separate book at this point.
Right.
I think that's a cool way to help, because then you don't have to like be flipping through 3 different books trying to run as a DM.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it was popular, but I love that ring binder system that they had years ago. I love that thing. I had a whole bunch of those.
I mentioned that to the studio actually at Gamma during the beginning of March. I mentioned that as an idea because I too loved it as a kid. I loved having the binder. I loved that I don't even know what the release schedule was for it. Let's just pretend it was every quarter. They put out a new packet of like 20 new characters or monsters, and you could put it in your existing binder. And the nice thing about it was for a GM, they didn't have to carry the whole binder. You could just pop out the couple characters,
pull out what you needed, exactly,
and leave the rest on the shelf. So I certainly loved that idea back then. I've heard that it wasn't popular overall.
I don't know why,
but who knows? But yeah, I think that was a really cool thing back then, back in the day.
The Monstrous Manual.
Yes.
Way back in the day. That's what I started with too.
Yep.
Rick had asked, sorry if it's been answered already, but is the content in the beginner book duplicate in the core rule book?
So the beginner box rule book is tailored for just a few levels, like levels 1 through 3, 4, 5, somewhere around there. And so it doesn't have as much information. And in some cases, because we're focusing on the core 4 character types, the fighter, the rogue, etc. So the book just has what's needed to play the beginner box, but it's definitely enough to take you beyond the beginner box scenario or the adventure that's in there. It's enough to go beyond that. So I'll tell you at the end of the In the Shadows of Mercurios adventure, I have adventure hooks for where suggestions on where the GM could take the adventure themselves. I included a few adventure hooks there, depending on what the GM and the party would like to do. And so the rules will then help you be able to continue to take your characters for a few levels beyond if you don't have the core rule book. But definitely get the core rule book, because that is all the rules that you need. And as Jesse said, it's cool that we've got a GM section in there. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. We're trying to make this whole experience very entry level for people who have never played a role-playing game. But we also are trying to make sure that it is balanced so those people who are proficient in their role-playing games will still enjoy the product that we're putting out.
Awesome. Speaking of that core rulebook, we do have this giveaway going right now. Work your core. We've got 72 people watching, 33 entered. There's no reason why entered
Wake
here.
up.
Even if you've already ordered one, you've already pledged. Can't hurt to have an extra one giveaway as a gift to a friend. Take it to one of your local shops and let them see what's going on. So yeah, put in for this.
Single
One in your master bathroom,
part.
one in the half bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe this is the single most important part for any Mythic Legions fan of this whole Kickstarter is the core rule book.
Have you seen the coins?
Yeah, but Curtis, pictures.
How are you going to buy books if you don't have coins?
Okay. I don't know if Jeremy's still watching. Brian, if he's not watching, maybe you can take this to him. I think this idea right here puts this whole thing over the top, right? I mean, right now, if I look it up, we're at 1,341,000. Okay. Todd McFarlane's at like 3 million. Okay. But I think this idea right here, right over the top, 3 million immediately. Okay. He's watching.
He's always watching.
Here we go. If we hit 2 million, all right, you throw in a chain with the core rule book so I can wear it like I'm a cleric. What do you think, Brian?
I think it's a fantastic idea. I want to give a shout out to my friend Nate. He's in my party. He's one of my play testers. Love it 3M there. He just joined the Work Your Core. There you go. So shout out to Nate. But no, absolutely. I think we need that deluxe version of the book with a chain. Why not? I mean, I think
absolutely
that'd be a great element to include it. Can
you imagine a couple hundred nerds walking around Legions Con with a core rule book hanging from them with a chain?
I can.
Throwing the book at.
How many tables are going to get knocked
much of a
over?
workout.
Curtis, don't encourage
Yeah,
that.
right.
So Curtis,
Some people would be upset about
here was
that.
an idea I threw out there, Curtis, about the coins. I thought it would be really cool if we actually gave a monetary amount, like what each coin is actually equivalent to, and then at Legions Con, people can just start buying all of their fodder and their armory and everything with coins. And we can actually just start trading coins, go back in time and actually just use coins. I think we should just do that. We can have a coin vendor there who's doing the exchange rate. You can just go up and buy.
Yeah.
Right.
I said last night, I hope that people buy enough of these coins that when the zombie apocalypse really happens, years from now, people will just find these things and they'll tell stories about how this was the currency of the day.
Right?
So, yeah.
Someone needs to make one of those, like, I don't know, like a vending machine, like one of those like sticker vending machines where you put like the 4 quarters in and push it in and then get a sticker out. Like somebody needs to make like one of those and have it at Legions Con that takes coins and pumps out like
take
RPG
stags
stickers. Yeah.
You like stags?
Like stat.
You eat dogs?
No slugs. It doesn't take slugs.
I like stags. All right, here we go. We got 51 in now out of 76. We're going to give this about 10 more seconds, folks. Hashtag work your core for a chance at a core rulebook, courtesy of Brett Stoddard and his awesome generosity. So here we go. We're going to spin this thing in 3, 2, 1. Let's see who lands on it.
Good luck.
Super. Hey. I believe that's a double win, isn't it?
That's a double win.
There you go.
2 books?
Yep.
2 books.
Wow.
That shipping's getting heavier.
Yeah, but it's still cheaper than sending it to 2 different places. Yeah. All right. We'll reach out to Brett and he'll get you those 2 books now. And now you can get you can give those out to a couple different people. So all right. Let's see. Trevor, I haven't really talked to you about this character creation thing. You've done a couple for our game now. You've been working behind the scenes with this whole Mythic RPG a little bit. Any kind of advice, tips that you would have for folks getting into this on creating their character and their backstory?
Yeah, it's I've been watching a lot of people play, and some of the higher end YouTube shows and stuff like that where they really go into some
You mean
detail.
like Legion's Quest?
Yes, like Allegiance Quest. No, my problem with Allegiance Quest is I didn't do that with my character too deeply, and that's why Joe is just kind of throwing things at me, and I'm like, what? Like, so I really have to really explore that and talk to Joe about it at this point. But I did that with our test group, and I really like that character. It's a lot more fun because it's motivation, like creating things that are going to come up. And again, this is stuff you probably want to talk to with your GM before the game. I think Jesse said this earlier. Somebody said this earlier, like leaving little threads, for the GM to pick up on in the background. You know what I mean? Like I do have that with my character. Like I was close to my mother. I actually have her crossbow, hand crossbow things, and there's a lot of it can be a little trite. I am kind of like, it was my family. Most of my family was killed, but I don't know who betrayed them somewhere around. I don't know if my sister did this. I don't know if my brothers are alive. So there's little threads there that can come up during the game that the GM can use to, like, you come across this stranger, or, you hear of someone having seen your sibling or something like that. And it could be different things. It could be just, your quest to become a certain level, or join a guild, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but having that kind of stuff just makes it a lot more fun. You're still playing the game. Like, you're going to go into Shadows of Mercurios and kind of you're playing that game. But even in playing that game, you got a GM could thread some things in that are outside, that core adventure book that feed into your character development from your characters, if they take the time to do that. It just makes it more fun. It's that's definitely something you want to work on. And yes, like Malcolm did, you can use ChatGPT if you want to like generate some
Absolutely
stuff,
not.
some
No,
ideas.
no, you can't.
No, you can.
No.
Some ideas,
No.
you can.
No.
But there are videos out there on YouTube from the Dungeon Dudes do a lot of how to develop characters and things like that, and kind of staying away from some of that trite stuff. It's hard to resist being that my family was killed, type of thing. But
I will say, when we started Legion's Quest, I think my character backstory, I think, was like 2 sentences. And then
exactly.
When we went to do the play testing, I think I sent Joe like 5 pages of notes and a bunch of voice messages. And then he was just like, leave me alone.
I should probably get around to reading those at some point.
He didn't tell me that. He was really interested in what I had to say. I don't know why.
So,
Curtis,
but it was interesting.
That's because Curtis's 5 pages of notes were all like combat.
I
was going to say it was crown images,
like this.
little smiley faces up in the corner.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I had never played before when we did the first playing, and so I had no clue. And then like you get into it and you get ready to make a new character, and you're like, okay, this time I want to add this and I want to put this in there. I want to have some reason why he's doing this. And I think you kind of you put a little bit more effort and knowledge into it, right? Because you've learned a little bit. And I think it makes it even more fun. And that's why I like that character more. It's kind of similar to what you're saying, Trevor. Like I like playing that character.
Yeah. Well, it motivates you, and it keeps you, like, it could be a fear that there's something that is lurking and that you're afraid of running into or having to face or something like that. Whereas if you're just like, let it go and leave it up to your GM, they can throw stuff at you, but then it's like, okay, I got to play off this, and maybe this isn't where I wanted my character to go.
No.
Or the attitude I wanted them to have, or that I've been playing. So the more you can give them to play off, the more that it'll flesh out your character, make you kind of feel like how this character would react in certain situations. Like if you do go into a place where it was close to, again, with your family or some enemy that you have, you might be a little more trepidatious about going into that town or something like that. So whereas if they just spring it on you, you're like, you've been playing normal all along. There's like, oh, here's this guy that's been chasing you forever. Like, oh, okay. But if you know that he's there or could be in that town somewhere, it's motivating. It's cool. It's a lot more fun.
Have you seen that clip? It's from, I can't even remember the name of the TV show, but with Sir Ian McKellar, and he's talking to Ricky Gervais, his character. He's talking about. You see what the clip I'm talking about? He's like, Peter Jackson reached out to me and asked me to play Gandalf the Wizard, and I told him, you realize I'm not a wizard. And he says, yes, I know, but I would like you to act as if you were. that's what you got to do. You got to,
It's hilarious.
act as if you're a wizard. So
This is one of my all-time favorite skits. Too.
Extras, that's it. Yeah, dude, that little clip. You don't know what I'm talking about? Just look it up. Sir Ian McKellar, Ricky Gervais. You'll freaking die laughing. But it does, like, you got to put yourself into that character, and how would that character interact with the rest of the people in the group? How would they react to certain things that happen in battle and things like that? It makes it a lot more fun,
And don't be afraid to mix things up. Trevor mentioned that, somebody killed my parents' backstory, the Batman backstory. One of my favorite characters that I had fun role playing, I just did the exact opposite. Like, he was from a wealthy family. His parents were supportive.
He wanted his parents to be killed, but they lived.
No, he didn't even want them to be killed because he liked them. They were good people. He actually felt bad for the rest of society because they didn't have as good of a life as him. So he started adventuring to help people. And it was just a really fun, different twist.
Great motivation.
Yeah.
That's
and he was just a really nice guy that wanted to help people.
I know advice on that, Brian.
Curtis,
putting all of his money into equipment and gear, he uses it to, like, establish social programs to help people in the city.
Joe's such a goody two shoes. I like playing paladins because they're so good.
I'm going to improve the water system in
yeah.
Mercurius. Any advice on that, Brian? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's kind of like Batman, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah.
If Joe was not our GM and he was a player in our group, I would make fun of him so bad.
You would try.
I would.
I for some reason don't feel threatened, Curtis.
You freaking Boy Scout.
It's fun.
I regret that the campaign we started, where I was GMing and Joe was a paladin, I regret that we didn't get to go further with that. I was really enjoying that, but I just didn't have the time to put into it at the moment. But I love that anytime he did something, like an eagle just like cried out in the sky.
He's helping old ladies across the street.
Captain Mythos over here.
Eagles flying every time it happens. I love that.
I just asked Brian a question he's trying to answer. So,
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
That's all right. That's all right. Like I said earlier in the show, when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, we were converting Star Wars characters and using the rules for Dungeons and Dragons. And so for me, learning how to create a character was I would take, and we were like, I want to be a biker scout. How do I make a biker scout into, so it's like, okay, we're going to make him a paladin just because of the armor. And then we're going to go. But I tried to take like the attributes that we knew of characters and then tried to make the rules apply to them. So we're like, okay, he's going to use some kind of a shooting weapon or whatever, so it was like that. And he can ride a horse because, he could ride a speeder bike or whatever. So it was like, that was my very first way of like character development, was taking a known entity and trying to apply the rules to it. And so I was thinking, Tanya, if you're listening to this again, later in playback, your character, your wizard. So when you get the rules in front of you, you will be able to build that character up so that the rules best reflect what your vision is for your character, your wizard character. I think having a session 0, which is very popular in role-playing games, and that's basically where you sit down with the GM, the party sits down, and you guys just kind of talk out what you're going to do. It might be full-on character creation where everybody's opening the book for the first time and rolling dice for the first time and actually putting pencil to paper, and you're talking through, well, where do we want to go on this adventure? What kind of thing do we want to do? What's important to us? Are we doing a cinematic style? Are we doing a very hack slash style of gaming? Do you want to really focus on the role-playing aspect of it? Is your character's background more important than and for the story than your kill count? You know, what is important for the party? And not everyone at the table has to agree, but at the table, you set your parameters and you're like, okay, we're going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But in that session 0, then everyone's kind of building up their character. You can kind of create a backstory that is homogenous with the whole party. If you will, you kind of laying that groundwork as to, okay, I'm evil and you're good. Why are we in this party together? Those types of aspects could all be done in a session 0. And we do describe that in the core rule book. And there's a lot of awesome YouTube videos on session 0s, even from the actual plays from some of the really big companies and big games out there. They've got really cool session 0s. So I definitely recommend, checking those out. But it's a great way for newbies to get into designing their characters, but also designing for GMs to design the campaign and where you're going to go. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, but also just kind of the whole reverse engineering a popular idea and kind of saying, okay, I've got the rules. I have an idea now. How can I make them apply to each other?
Now, is that whole not worrying about kill count for people that can't get kills and they're like, just not very good? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The person with the most kills often just steals them.
Right, exactly. That's
That's a rough word.
Yeah, I like that session 0 idea. That's because I like the idea that like you could have a couple characters. Like in our test game, we all knew each other. That was Joe's idea to have us all kind of have a shared experience in the past. But I like the idea that 2 characters could be traveling together and then they meet if you have to have that whole meeting thing. But they know each other and you kind of know each other pretty well. That's a cool thing. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting, I still find interesting after 40 years of gaming is realizing that a level 1 character, which is where you're starting at in your first adventure, is already somebody who's extraordinary in their community. So even though their hit points might be low because they're brand new, or their proficiencies aren't there yet, or their equipment's even not that fantastic, they are still an extraordinary example from within their own community. They're not just the average everyday citizen going about their business in Mercurius, or they are they're going to stand out, and so their backstory should kind of reflect that to some degree. Maybe it's just, I don't know, as a child they were always just a really good hunter. They just picked it up really well, and that led them down the path to being a fighter. Or it could be that whole military veteran family background, and so every generation has always fought in the army, and so that's their backstory. Or maybe they want to break away from that mold, and that's their backstory. You don't want to be just another rank and file in such and such army, but so you're blazing a path on your own, but you still have that background because it just kind of runs through your family history. So
yeah, it's cool. Very cool. It's one of the most fun aspects, I think, of the game, is doing that. You know what I mean? It's like you're creating this. This is a story, and this is a story that you're telling along with the DM. And to if you really want it to be good, you should have some. Your character has to have motivation in a book that's a good story. So definitely spend some time on that, I would say.
I just had a thought, and this is sorry, Curtis. Joe, you should change your name to GM Joe instead of Joe G.
Or Joe GM. Joe G.
A real Mythosian hero.
Yeah, I was on board until that part. Yeah.
Then he might have a little PSA at the end of each episode.
That would be great. That would be fun.
And it's
something we've learned from this.
I was going to say it's all based off of Graddock's poison.
Yeah, remember, food isn't always free, kids. It doesn't always come with
that. Fight together or die alone.
Sometimes it costs more than money.
That's right.
So, character development, character backstories. There's things in the book, in the Mythic Legions role playing game book that's going to be coming to help guide you. Excuse me, I meant to say this while Tanya was on. So many people who are already customizers spend time creating backstory and lore for the characters they're creating to begin with. So you just gotta, try to remember to work things in that will be, like we mentioned before, like the threads, the things the GM can pull on to set things up. Like in the longer Legion's quest, or my character Cam, I wrote that she was basically orphaned and left with another, like a family that found her and raised her. And I never thought about her parents again. And then a couple sessions ago, Joe's like, "Oh, your panther, your celestial panther, is like, oh, one of your parents is nearby." And I'm like, "What?" Like I was completely blown away by that. Like I never expected to have that story thread like pulled in that way. I just assumed they were dead. And he tied it into something going on with Fur, Nate's character, with the vampires and stuff. So it's just, there's just little things. You don't have to elaborate a lot of stuff. You can just little things that the GM can pick on and pull and do things to like give your character more motivation to seek out different things. And there's things going on with Trevor's character, with this sword he has. And
well, yeah, we'll get back to that someday.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there are things there, and sometimes you've got to, as excited as you are for whatever your character's story is, sometimes you got to let the rest of your party, like, it has, like, the GM's doing something, like, it'll all come back around, and your character will get their moments, and it's trying to find that balance of, especially if you have a big party of people. Like, I know we've talked about some of the, like, Critical Role is pretty much the main thing I've watched and listened to, and there are times where it's very focused on certain characters for a couple sessions, because everybody, even the players, are so invested in that story, and then it shifts to other characters or different things, and it's just really cool how deep and emotional some of these things can get. Even just as the player, like finding out at least one of my parents' characters' parents were still alive. I was like, this is not a motivation I expected to have for this character to urge on. And it's just really fun.
Yep. For sure.
Also, like Curtis says, I take notes on a napkin. So a lot of my stuff is shooting from the hip. I'm not a big prep guy, so there will be times that I forget things. Don't be afraid to bring up something that I might have forgotten. It's just to bring it to the forefront of my mind too, and be like, oh yeah, I did start something with that. So
yeah, Joe's not that guy with the red string and the things all over the wall.
Yeah. I'm bad during a session, like when I'm the GM, and I spend a lot of time prepping, but I'm bad during the session in taking notes. And so then I'm like, oh, and so my players are, they'll be like, we did that last time, or that came up last time. Like, oh, that's right, but that was something you guys did that wasn't like in my linear thought, and I forgot to take a note. So thanks for reminding me. So yeah, that happens. And it's good. And it does. It provides a hook for something else later too. Then it's like, okay, well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, usually when we do that, Joe just says, "Shut up, don't worry about it."
That's just you specifically, Curtis.
Okay, got it.
Well, like Curtis's character had this whole thing where he was what was it, something of Red Rock or something?
Coward of Red Rock.
Coward, I believe, was the one.
And that was one of the first like real character threads Joe pulled in, where we encountered Gradix. He's a half orc, so we encountered his orc clan, and there was a whole confrontation and a challenge there that led to goblins and eventually everybody, the fan favorite Rug Tug. I like Rug Tug's a great character. But yeah,
Rug Tug needs to be made in the Mythic Legion line. That would be badass.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing with that bandit, it was just a random bandit ambush or attack. We defeated these guys. I punched them trying to not do lethal damage, and Joe had me knock teeth out. And then Curtis chopped off the living guy's hand, and now that guy has literally become like our worst nightmare in the story at this point, besides the actual Dark Four. So,
in fairness, the guy didn't know anything because he was just a bandit and he had no knowledge. But if he did know something, he would have told us.
With a lisp.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have an obsession with torturing people. I don't know what it is. They're just like, keep one guy alive.
Not me.
You're the one that said it's not a real world. You can do whatever you want. We just
I didn't say it like that. I have never once.
That's what Curtis heard.
Do whatever you want.
Remember, folks, now
I heard we're allowed to torture people.
Remember now, when dealing with Curtis, torture is not off the table.
Yeah.
In the first D&D game I played like 10, 11 years ago, we had a character. She was a dwarf cleric, and she had some past trauma with giants or something. And to the point where we fought these giants, and like she like burned her religious symbol, her holy symbol, like into their foreheads after we killed them. And it like the DM's like, okay, your alignment has now shifted. Like he's like, that was so out of character for what your character alignment is. You are now chaotic, whatever it was. And like, so she had to like adjust her character thing, and it took her a while to like come back to, like her true self and everything. So like, yeah. So depending on your GM or what type of story they're telling, your choices, well, I mean, your choices always have consequences, but the GM can decide how severe or minor those consequences are.
Yeah, I like stuff like that. That's that motivation right there. If you were fighting those, what were they? Trolls or what did you say, Jesse?
There were some sort of giants or something in
giants. Like you could like in a battle, you could play like if you're really playing the role playing thing, like you're a little frozen, because you're just so afraid of them, like you're holding back, and maybe not even helping the party because you're just like have this fear. It's fun. It's good. There's lots of good stuff you can do.
Well, there was even one time where one of my character had we were walking somewhere where there was something was going on, and my character I failed a save, and I was basically hallucinating. In my mind, I saw my party members kill that past love that I mentioned that was trapped in this cage. And so I just started attacking my own party, and then one of the players, he held that against me for almost the rest of the campaign. Like he did not trust my character anymore. So it was like a whole shift in like the personality between our characters. I also didn't know how to play a rogue properly. I was playing it like World of Warcraft rogue. And trying to always get up close and use sneak attack literally like behind enemies instead of doing my ranged attack. So I was a problem in that campaign.
Yeah, I would say as you move along too, you might want to grow your character. Like I'm kind of struggling with that in our main game, just like figuring out how to grow. But it's always good, like, you know, if you're growing as a hero or whatever, maybe some of your foibles that you've been playing, and it's always fun to like put some you know, detrimental bad habits, things like that in your character, you know, that you can overcome. But eventually, you should probably overcome them to some degree, you know. Like,
not to bring up a sore point, but the whole way, like how your character was protective over that stone and how like you didn't want to let us examine it. Like that created an interesting moment that was challenging. But I think that's an interesting, like there's an interesting character thing there where you don't see it as anything worth exploring. I mean, we all know as players there's something there.
Yeah, Joe and I have to develop that yeah, I do like that aspect. Like that's fun. Like you know, I'm on your team, but like there's some stuff that, hey, this is my thing. But it's not now, like, because we're all together and we're doing things and it may affect us. And it did, you know, it did affect us because we got into battle with somebody. We have no way.
Dara's asking the real questions. No relation to Curtis at all. Is there any worry of game behavior crossing over into the real life, asking for a friend?
That's funny.
Darla, are your hands safe? Please show us your hands.
Wear gloves.
If they're not, snap twice.
Are you finding extra nail clippings?
It reminds me of this time I was playing a role-playing game, and I'm climbing around up the outside of a building like one does.
Here we
and
go.
then
Here we go.
In the middle of the
Here
night.
we go.
In the middle of the night, as one does. And then all of a sudden, like one of my group members just like uses a spell against me in his own party, taking all my health down and knocking me down to the ground.
What were you doing crawling up into my
knocked out
room?
in the snow.
I mean, you know, in the middle of the night. So, you know, it goes both ways, buddy.
That was because he failed the stealth check down the hallway right in front of the
Well,
guards.
I mean, he's always going to fail
Hugging
a
the
stealth
wall,
check.
hugging the wall, sneaking down. One of my all-time favorite images. Just grab it.
Come on, guys, stop washing your laundry in public.
It's the moneymaker.
That's right. Her hands
We're
are safe.
talking about character development, Joe. That's what this whole episode's about.
Oh.
We learn, we grow, there's consequences. Graddick remains the same.
That's when
If
Joe
not-
had to have the talk with us where he says, "You guys are together. I'm the enemy." Every character that can hurt you is me.
Is me. Well, so that, I mean, that's kind of an old-fashioned trope, but it's true. I'm all the bad guys. The only people that you can trust are the other party members. So you guys should trust each other because I can have anybody betray you at any time. I'm everyone.
Not Henry.
Even Henry.
Not Henry.
Even Henry. So the only people that you know should know might not be an enemy is the other player characters. So that trust should always start with the player characters. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I run a rogue, even if he's a dirty rat thief stealing from everybody,
dirty rat,
then I'm going to have it be where the party members are my brothers and sisters. You know, I would never do anything to them. Forget everybody else, but I wouldn't do anything to them because I don't want to create any division within the group because that's the party. That's how you get things done. And
Joe, it goes
and
against
adventures.
rule number one, and rule number one is to have fun.
It's not fun, Brett. Stop. It's not. So, you know, but there's a cohesion. It's like
Well, that's what I'm
used
saying.
an
I'm
example
agreeing
about
with you.
Well, I run. Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I run a lot of paladins, or have, you know, and paladins. I know I hear all the tropes like, oh, they're lawful stupid and stuff like that. And the thing is you're playing a game. It should be fun for everyone. There's been plenty of times where I've had a rogue and a bard in my party, and my paladin doesn't agree with what they're doing, but me as a player, I know when to turn away so that they can go and have their fun. It doesn't have to be a versus thing. You know, my paladin wouldn't agree with it. Hey, I'm going to go for a walk. so that they can get into their shenanigans.
Joe,
Because-
I like lawful evil paladins. Kill for a thrill. I believe I believe in a higher power. It's just not necessarily the same one as other people do.
Yeah.
Well, and that
We
that
should
right
do-
there is actually the fun thing. I'm sorry, that's the fun thing about the faction system in this game, and you know, even looking at the goblin, the shadow, the paladins we're getting for the Kickstarter, is keeping in mind that like you can have that vampiric paladin but their higher power is not the same as, you know, the heroic paladin of Laodicea or something, but they're both paladins. They both have a higher power.
I worship the Red Star for the Sons of Red Star, or Sons of the Red Star.
Yep. The divinity is just a different god. It is.
I
just
draw my
something
power from that versus Yahweh or whatever.
Yep.
I know
it's very cool.
I know a lot of us have seen Joe playing GM. He does a great job, but I actually did get a picture of Joe as a player. So there you go.
Why does he have a price tag on his wrist?
Boy Scouts.
I don't know why he does, because he's clearly priceless.
Because this doesn't come cheap.
I got a question for Brian. Have you? So I am assuming you've play tested this a little bit. How do you feel about the? And I know it's cool, but like the actual action figure. Do you play live, like with your group, or do you play online? And how do you feel about the whole action figure playability, the boss level type fight thing?
I absolutely love the Mythic encounters. I think that it's definitely a fun element. And I'm hoping, I'm hoping that will translate. Everyone will really enjoy it. I think it's a really cool aspect. Again, especially with the toy collector being probably the primary audience to begin with, especially with the customizers, people being able to make their characters both on paper, but then also a physical representative of it. And, even with miniatures, I think that's a cool thing. So I think it's cool that we've got everything, that we're going to get a little bit of everything with it. But yeah, the boss fight or the Mythic encounter is a really fun thing. And it was fun to write and figure out, and I know in the layout of the book, even we're trying to make it a cool aspect of so that it really is something, because it stands out, it's something different. So we're trying to make sure that it's something that's recognizable and very cool. And I know that in the adventure, one of the things that at least adventures I'm writing, I will be expanding on the core Mythic encounter rules. I might add some extra elements and rules to each Mythic encounter, whether it's an interior or an exterior encounter, for example. And so that,
Sorry, Brian. Sorry to cut you off, but we're in the last 60 seconds here, so I want to cut off. So Curtis and I think is it the Legion's ladies are up next. So folks, head over to their channel and continue the marathon. But everybody, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
The rest of the marathon. I know a bunch of us will be back on other shows later, but until then, see you later.
Bye, Curtis, or bye, Jesse. Thanks, Brian. Pleasure meeting you.
I'm not
forward to the
Curtis.
next ones.
Likewise.
Yeah, I know. Okay, next stream later. 48 hours. Go.
Awesome.